Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Coffee with Bobbi. Today, I'm joined with Nick. He is the founder of Wooden Journey. He started this company to truly make the world a greener and better place. They've already planted over 15,000 trees and conserved 6 million square feet of rainforest. Wooden Journey started as an idea. What if you wanted to help combat climate change and plant trees in areas of true need, but didn't know how to do it from your home? What if you felt like there was nothing that you could do, even though you really wanted to help? Wooden Journey is currently solving this problem for us and is doing amazing things. So Nick, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much, Bobbi. I'm humbled to be here and getting to, introduce myself to you and your amazing community. It's going to be a pleasure for sure.
Yes. What's been happening in your world lately?
I guess a lot, I would say. So I started Wooden Journey in 2019. And like you said, I really just wanted to make it easy for anyone, worldwide that really wanted to be able to unite behind a cause and a company that they knew they would just, really be able to stand behind in order to make the world a greener place, from the comfort of their own home. As you may know, there's so many problems with deforestation, and you can see across the world with wildfires and just the climate crisis really escalating to a higher and higher scale every single year. I wanted to make it easy for anyone that felt that they wanted to make that change but didn't really have the access to these places that are having these problems. So I really wanted to first and foremost make an inviting community, and I'm proud to say that so far across social media we've already gathered over 160,000 members worldwide. It's truly humbling to have such an incredible audience and community behind Wooden Journey. And to date, we've already planted 15,000 trees, and we've also conserved over 6 million square feet of rainforest, further protected areas, to make sure not only that we're replanting the places that we've lost, but also conserving the parts of the world that we still have.
That is absolutely amazing and such a huge feat, because a lot of us see it happening or we hear it happening of all of the deforestation, and you're see a headline and then it goes to the wayside and you're like, wouldn't it be amazing to help out? But we don't know how to help. So how are you guys connecting it from social media and bringing it to light to actually replanting these trees?
Absolutely. So the first thing that we do is we offer really accessible ways, in very low cost ways for people to be able to do that. My biggest motto is if someone, purchases a cup of coffee or goes out to eat once a month, they can stand behind our cause. Our first and foremost goal is to make it easily accessible to the majority of the world to be able to stand behind us. And through TikTok, we've had the amazing privilege, as our channel has grown, to join the TikTok Creator Fund. So what we're able to do is, because of that, just by being on TikTok and watching our videos about, our educational aspects for rainforests, wildlife, different things that you can learn and explore through our channel, just by watching the video, you're actually helping us contribute, because we take the funds from the TikTok Creator Fund and we give it back to the environmental causes that we stand behind. So that's one very accessible and free way that we offer to make that change. And we're also, in a really exciting way, we're actually going to be launching our very own platform on woodenjourney.com very, very soon, where we're going to have our own explore page. We're going to have a community forum where you guys are going to be able to also just kind of join the community, get to meet other members, really engage with everyone, and, add friends. It's going to be really, really cool. And then on top of that, we're also going to be having a membership page where pretty much whatever dollar amount that you subscribe for will stand for at least one tree. So, for example, a $5 tier, you'll get a Wooden Journey necklace that I hand make myself to kind of just give you that extra badge and, as a thank you to supporting us. But you'll also plant 5 trees each and every single month. So I really just try to make it pretty much, if someone has access to the internet and also has, the ability to, throw a couple extra dollars, they can truly reforest the world. And I make sure that I've partnered with really good organizations that, have very full, reports, and, make sure that they're not only reforesting and helping the wildlife around them, but they're also really invigorating the communities around them as well. So it's really it's been a very rewarding experience so far, and I'm very proud of what we've done.
So is it $1 per tree? Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yes, it's that simple. So
that's mind blowing to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, go out and take one trip to Starbucks and there's 5 trees already. Anybody can do this.
I am a big fan of Starbucks, and I am the first one to admit that I am a frequent flyer there, but I also am very aware it's if people don't understand that it's that simple, so they think, like, let's say, for example, anyone who's listening to the first time, they've heard about climate change, they see all these problems happening, and it's like, all right, well, cool, I'm not in Australia, I can't go take a $2,000 flight over there and go plant a couple of trees. How am I supposed to do that? So that's really the bridge that I was trying to gap. It's like, listen, if you have a couple extra dollars and you want to be able to plant these trees, we can give you the updates every month. You guys get exclusive access to certain things on our platform. You get some extra cool merchandise along the way. So, that's really the main thing I was trying to set out to achieve. I try to make it as low cost as possible for a lot of people that want to be able to support us as
well. That is amazing. And like you said, it's not only supporting, organizations that you partner with for just replanting the trees, but the community aspect as well. You want to dive into that and how, deforestation not only affects wildlife and the ecosystem, but also the community aspect?
Yeah. So, man, there's so much into that. So do you mean the community behind Wood and Journey or the communities around the rainforest themselves? Because there's
communities around the rainforest.
Awesome. Yeah. So a big thing that a lot of people aren't aware of is agriculture has a massive impact on the agricultural, on the rainforest system across the world. We're on a very big scale deforestation rate just to be able to have beef cultivation. So, if veganism isn't your thing, that's totally fine. My biggest thing is if you consume beef or whatever, if you were to just cut your intake in half, not only you're helping your own personal health, but you're also dramatically taking off the impact on these rainforest systems. I've talked to many people who live directly in Panama, Brazil, Africa, the places that are directly in these areas. And a lot of the, community around these areas, they're, very poor. And the access to them to just have funds is beef. So what they think is like, all right, if I have access to the rainforest and I can, basically decimate this abundant wildlife resource and kind of just use it for harvesting beef and, that kind of cultivation of cows, then I'll be able to support my family. And it's such a problem because there's such a demand for it and the demand keeps increasing. So if just everyone were to say, hey, I'm just going to, cut my intake in half. If I have a hamburger every day, have it once every other day. If everyone was to be able to just make that small little adjustment, the overall demand and impact on these ecosystems would be completely changed. And that's another thing that I'm actually trying to tackle through Wood and Journey. Obviously, beef production is a whole other game. I'm not into that by any means. But one thing that I'm doing with one of my partners is when you subscribe through Wood and Journey, not only are you planting trees in these areas, but you're actually creating work days for the communities around them. So you're actually creating jobs for the people around these areas to not only give them a livelihood and also give them a sustainable model for them to be able to not only invigorate the land around them, but you're also teaching them kind of how to be stewards of the land. I mean, these people are the ones that are, they're the boots on the ground and they know the ecosystem better than most of us. So it's better to give the power to them, but also give them the livelihoods that they need as well in order to really just create that economic growth in those neighborhoods and communities.
That is so powerful because a lot of times we just see it as like a one-time fix, like, oh, if I replant a tree, it's all good. I already did my part.
Right. Honesty is important.
There's so many other levels to it that, a lot of us in the US or maybe abroad and different countries, you don't see that.
No, it's not in our backyard.
Right. It's not in our backyard. And, I had the pleasure of going to Costa Rica and seeing rainforests and everything a year and a half ago. And I was completely in awe. I was like, oh, there's monkeys around me,
Breathtaking.
Yeah, it's completely breathtaking. Preserving the land, seeing it. And when you're around people in that community that live in it, they prioritize that and prioritize the land. But you're right, if your money source is gone, you're going to try to find other ways to make money.
You have to put food on the table, and everyone can understand that aspect, whether it's in the United States or it's in Costa Rica, everyone, if you're faced with a problem and, the economic situation near you isn't good, you have to support your family somehow. So, a lot of these people don't want to make decimating rainforests their home, but when they have the opportunity to either put food on the table or cut a couple of trees down, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer for some of these communities. So it's just, as a society, we need to be able to address that problem, face on in order to not only invigorate, the overall economic standpoint, but also what's going to be a sustainable model for generations to come, you know?
For sure. Like we've had the rainforest for years and years, and now we want to continue to have it for future generations.
Yeah.
What are some of like the biggest problems I would say with deforestation besides, the cultural aspect and community? Are there brands that come to mind that are deforestation? And what can we do to stop that?
So that's a fantastic question. I think the best answer to that is to really understand different products and to understand where they're sourced. I think if people really understood where, some furniture might come from, or, where they get their food sources from, or where they get their palm oil. I mean, there's different products across the world that have different impacts. Like, for example, palm oil is a huge problem in Indonesia deforestation, but beef production is a big problem in Brazil. So there's many different rainforest ecosystems across the world, and it's really important to really emphasize the problems directly in each of those habitats themselves. But the biggest thing that I would probably address is just really know the way that something is sourced. Because if you really get to the roots of where the object is coming from, then you can kind of really make a stamp of where the things were harvested themselves. Acre to acre, the biggest problems is definitely beef. I mean, it completely outpaces anything else across the world. Palm oil is probably a close second, but I mean, logging is, definitely an issue, and there's plenty of alternatives such as bamboo production, where most of the lumber that we get across the world, bamboo can grow multiple feet in a year, and it's just as hardy as a lot of the lumber that's used across the world. So it just comes down to the overall infrastructure on what things are built on and making those small little adjustments. I mean, if those little adjustments were to happen, really, really cool things would really start to fall into place. And I'm a big believer that we're going to get there. It's just the problem is the education. When you go to buy, a jar of peanut butter, how are you supposed to know where that comes from? You're just trying to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for your lunch. You have so much going on. And it doesn't just come down to the consumer. I mean, a lot of companies also need to stand up and be leaders. If they know that they're harvesting things in an unsustainable manner for the bottom dollar, they need to stand up and make those changes. But on the other side of the coin, the consumer also has to be aware of, if they can spend, a couple extra cents for something a little bit more sustainably produced, a lot of us can make those changes. Some of us can't financially, and that's okay. Totally understandable. I don't want people to put too much pressure on themselves as well. There's so many things going on in the world. It's there's plenty to be concerned about as it is right now. But just making and being aware of those constant little changes is a huge thing. Just going off of that, one thing that if you really start to pay attention to things, it becomes really interesting. So one thing I've been really into is like paper towels, for example. Most
Okay.
people don't know, just when you go to buy a paper towel, like whatever, it is what it is, but a lot of that paper towel pulp is coming from like Canadian forests. It's just the decimation of forests in order to just kind of make this very hardy paper towel. But a lot of companies have started to introduce certain ways where they're going tree free for paper towels. So there's a couple companies out there that you can actually buy paper towels just as functional, does the exact same job as any other one, but they're a couple extra cents, but they don't require any deforestation at all. You can actually just get it because bamboo is, like I said, just as sustainable. They come from the bamboo plant. And does it really matter if you're cleaning up the mess in your home, whether it's coming from, this tree or something? Like, it doesn't really matter. So it's just when the society and the overall purchaser decides to make those small little changes, the big companies in the market start to take notice, So it's important things. And every day you go to the store and make that decision financially, it's really like you're voting for change. So
For sure. Do you happen to know a brand right offhand on the paper towels?
oh man, if I had to recommend one, Caboo, Caboo, big
Okay.
believer in them. They don't just make paper towels, they make tissues, they make toilet paper. They have a whole array of bamboo sourced tea tree paper products that the average consumer can easily afford. I would definitely look into that brand. I'm a big believer in them for this part.
Because I've never heard of this. Like, I didn't even know that they were making bamboo
Wow.
paper towels. And,
Yeah,
these are the small things that you learn just by talking to somebody.
yeah, it's cool
And
stuff.
right, it's super cool. And I'm in the grocery store multiple times a week picking up items, and like this quick change can really affect, the rainforests and forests across the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And it, like you said, it takes like a couple extra seconds looking up your product, you know, saying, okay, well, let me take the time. Let me look at, actually read what's on the label here.
Right.
And
Flip the box over.
exactly. And with people now, I feel like there's a trend from having, you know, everybody at home more over this past year of like actually at first it was like, oh, we'll see where it goes. And now there's this trend of everybody trying to get healthier. And people are reading labels and they're like, oh, I want to get this over this and eat cleaner and so forth. And, you know, what's one more extra step of saying, okay, this says palm oil. Let me actually look up this brand and see where they're getting it from.
And I want to really touch base on that point as well, because it's an amazing point, Bobbi. The internet has completely changed the way society is completely run. You know, so many before, you know, our generation or any other generations, they didn't have access to be able to go onto google.com and say, where does this come from? You know, the power is just in our fingertips. It was a monumentally different level that has completely changed the game for everybody, you know, so everyone has access to this stuff now, and it's going to change things. I mean, and that's the reason why I was touching a little bit on those bamboo paper towels, because companies like Taboo found a solution, and they're like, this is a very sustainable, easy model that the general consumer can, you know, take an opportunity in. And what happened was they put out the product, they got a lot of market share because the consumer started, they had really great marketing, they had great packaging, it stands out right in front of you in the grocery store. And it's like, oh wow, when you're faced with, okay, I can have this paper towel that is decimating the planet, or I can have this one that's made in a way more sustainable model, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's like, as long as I'm cleaning my table, who really gives a crap? You know.
Right.
So what happened was they took a part of the market share. Other massive companies in those spaces started to make the changes because they started to realize, oh, the consumer is really starting to care about this, and they're willing to pay a little bit more for that sustainable model. So what I'm trying to say is, just by making those small changes, it doesn't take a lot of people to start buying those products to make the bigger companies say, hey, we have to really start realizing that this company is starting to eat a lot of the share of this market, because, you know, people are starting to pay attention. We need to get there too. So it doesn't take a massive scale of people to say, hey, you know, I'm choosing this. Usually it takes a far less amount for people to really start to make that changes, and big companies really to start to change their own models as well. So it's very powerful stuff.
For sure, the economic supply and demand, you know, demand's going over here to more eco-friendly. The big companies have to, I mean, either take
Yeah.
notice right now to still stay on top. Otherwise, you know, pretty soon they're going to be like, where did this company come from? And why are we just now learning about it?
Yes. Yeah. And they're not going to let that happen. So, you know, put the pressure on them and start to really buy sustainable things. And, you know, they're not going to let too much of their shares go. You know, they're obviously leaders in their fields, and, you know, they're not going to sacrifice a big portion of the market share that they may already have and have already built to that point without realizing what the consumer wants. You know, they're paying attention.
Right. They've got numerous people on the back end, you know, sitting at corporate offices going, looking at all these spreadsheets, going, okay, this sold so much at Kroger and this sold so much at
Yeah.
Walmart. And
Yeah.
that goes to note, like, for people who are saying, you know, well, these products are so much more expensive, you know, maybe I can't afford them. Okay. But I will
Yeah.
say, use your digital coupons. Like,
Oh, yeah.
this is like a whole new aspect. And I've noticed just lately, even more so, like the targeted coupons for what you buy. And we buy a lot of like clean products, you know, the natural, like predominantly organic line in our house on different items. And there's so many more targeted coupons out there that
Yeah.
people don't even realize that they're missing out on. And I'm like, this is crazy. I go to the grocery store and I save $50. And they're like, how
Yeah.
did you save that on your cart of all these good food items?
Right. Yeah. And there's so many apps coming out now where you just download it and it kind of does the work for you. It's like, oh, they're going to Walmart, so let me automatically apply every coupon in their cart.
Right.
I mean, it's very insane stuff, but it's real, you know? So download the app, save your money, and, you know, hopefully it'll, you know, be able to help you get to that sustainable way, you know?
Yeah. And not only like save you money, but you're saving rainforests at the same time.
Right. Right, exactly. It really comes down to making small changes every day that really have a bigger impact than people realize. It really, there's a lot of statement in that.
What sort of motivated you to dive into this world of climate change and reforestation?
My blind and absolute passion for the natural world and the environment and just wildlife as a whole. It is the definition of who I am. That's really just the way I can say it. I've always wanted to really be an entrepreneur and start my own company. But this profound passion for the environment and nature and just wildlife as a whole, I wanted to be able to really intertwine the two of them. So that's really what I did. I truly started Wooden Journey to make a difference. It really is the root of why I started it.
That is amazing. And sort of what is your favorite aspects of the wildlife? Because everybody says the wildlife, but then you're
Yeah.
sort of tied to different parts.
God.
Some people love the ocean, some people love the jungle, some people love the safari. What was that for you?
You know, I honestly can't pick because each one I'm in awe in different ways. Just to kind of put apples to oranges, it's very difficult for me because there's just so many different landscapes out there and so many different parts that have their own special qualities. It's really just the cultivation of all of that, I would have to say for me. Another big one, I've always been an animal guy. I've always loved them. So just seeing the fact that, like, when you see this deforestation happening, that obviously the climate aspect is horrible. That's going to have so many impacts if we don't change things. But the thing that really gets to me is, like, I'm starting to get emotional just thinking about it. It's the fact that these are homes. When we're destroying these rainforests, the amount of wildlife and biodiversity that calls those habitats home is like beyond our possible understanding, because there's so many different species that rely on it. And the fact that we can just decimate it so fast when these species have called these habitats and resources home for so long, and we can just kind of come in and stop that, it really gets to me. It does. So just by able to have a company where I can focus on conservation and protecting these vital areas for the animals that call these areas home, it's a very rewarding thing, and exactly why I am doing what I'm doing.
I love it. And a lot of people don't realize, or they think of like, oh, the rainforest, it's habitat, it's home. But when you're actually in a rainforest, you
Yeah,
see all of the different levels, and it
yeah,
goes for feet and feet and feet, like hundreds,
yeah.
thousands of feet. And every single layer has a different habitat and a different home for different
Yeah.
species. So when you take, like, say, okay, you're going to come in and cut an acre of rainforest, it's not just like a couple of animals losing their home. It's like
Right.
tons of animals losing their home, tons
Right.
of plant life and, flora losing homes too, which everything is connected.
It's so true. This whole world is completely connected to each other. It's so true. You really touch on such a cool point, because these animals and the species that call these areas home, they don't really have a voice. They can't come talk to us, and we don't, even if they're talking amongst themselves, we don't understand it. I'm sure that they do, and they have their own communication. But think about the fact that, like, let's say whoever's listening to this, your neighbor, if they own a plot of land, let's say they own an acre, and someone decided to come down with a bulldozer and mowed their one house down, the entire town would be up in riot. The entire town, and that's one person's home. So just imagine, like, and the thing that I'm trying to do with Wooden Journey is I'm really trying to connect the average person who hasn't had the opportunity or doesn't have the access to see these areas, to really start to make that connection to them and say, like, listen, these are the places that are at stake, and these are the places that we could possibly lose if we don't start to make the action. So not only am I trying to really reforest and you know conserve the areas that we have, I'm really trying to be able to connect people, kind of the same experience that you had when you went down to Costa Rica and you just became completely immersed in there. I'm trying to make that the best that I can available through my platform, so people can really start to make that connection at home as well.
And it's incredible what we can do, from home to give us these experiences,
Game
just
changers.
simple information that aren't seeing across our feeds normally, or there's not a show on Netflix about it, or Hulu, or I've learned so much just from opening up TikTok. Like, I'm a person, I used to be immersed in the world of international relations, news, current events. Like I have a degree in
Mhm.
it, that was my world for
Yeah.
a while. You know,
Okay.
it affects your mental state. You can go down this rabbit hole and it'll be so negative, and then you'll have like little blips of positivity. And then I was like, I gotta like sort of
Yeah.
like, I gotta refocus my mind.
Yeah. It gets to you when you're
It
absorbed in it.
it definitely gets to you. So I've made it a point, like I'll skim headlines every now and then. I see what I need to
Mhm.
see,
The
but
main points.
exactly. It's like if I need to read something deeper, I will, or I'll learn about it within my circle of family and friends. Like they'll tell me what I need to know. But honestly, like just getting the quick couple seconds from TikTok, I was seeing
Amazing.
headlines on stimulus package and different things that come across, that they're not talking about in the news, or it'll take you a while
Yeah.
to find it, but this is a new information source that, you know, for so many and from all ages. Some people are
Right.
dismiss it as being, like, oh, it's a kid's platform, it's this. But
All
here I
wrong.
am in my mid 30s going,
Yeah.
okay, like if I need quick news as I'm creating content, here's what I
Yeah.
found today.
Yeah. It's such a good point because TikTok at one point it was for just kids, quote unquote. It's so not true anymore because I would challenge anyone who has never been on that app before if they downloaded it. Probably most of the people that are listening to this, have at least seen it at this point. But if you go on for 15 minutes, that's the thing about TikTok. They learn what you like. So it's hard to stop scrolling when it's already tailored to your interests, right? I mean, it's already like showing you the things that you care about. And that's one of the things that other social media platforms don't necessarily do as much. You kind of have to really do a little bit more exploring and diving in to see the pages that you want. But TikTok, you just click one scroll up with your finger and, oh, look, another post that I like. Oh, look, another one. It's a very, very powerful tool. And it's really starting to become one of those. I mean, me myself, not only just because of the platform, that I have on there, and it's been such a great opportunity. I'm so thankful for TikTok as a whole, but just the fact of being able to have that. I just, as a consumer and a person that uses social media, I think it's by far one of my favorite ones at this point, for sure. It just changed the game, and you can connect with people easier, and just the tailor-made aspects for you is really, really cool.
And alongside that tailor-made aspect, even the things that you're not thinking about, like rainforest may not be at the top of your item to-do
Right.
list,
Right.
but there's a post that connects you, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is super cool and interesting.
You dive
Let me
in.
check out what Nick's doing. This was a really cool fact. Oh, my kids in elementary school, we were talking about sloths the other day. This is a
Yeah.
perfect like segue, of how things connect. And it's amazing like the impact that you can make just from making a 10-second
Yeah.
video.
Yeah. And like anyone who's listening to this, if they're trying to create their own content or media, get on TikTok because the opportunities there are, bar none. It's just such an incredible platform right now. And people, the overall community on TikTok is just so immersive, and people just really get into it a little bit more. And it's very cool to have that, networking and connection opportunity on a social media platform as a whole. But I mean, I can't even tell you, it's just so humbling. I've had people message me in a direct message on TikTok and they say, "Hey, absolutely love what you're doing." And these are 13 to 16-year-olds. And they're like, I decided with my parents to start doing a project on rainforest conservation because of your videos. That is so touching on a whole other level and just inspires me to do even more because it's truly, you're changing these people's worlds. You really are. This person cared about your brand and your mission enough to go home and make a school project about that. You can't, there's not enough words to describe how amazing that is. There's just not. I'm so thankful for that. If my community listens to this, I'm so thankful for them as well. So it's just very humbling and amazing to have people, out there like that.
And the community runs deep.
It
And
does.
when you have a community that supports whatever you're doing, it runs deep and they're going to support you through whatever you're going through and like what you're promoting and so forth. And especially when you're doing amazing things like this, that one impact that you don't even realize, you don't realize you've only gotten a couple messages from people from kids. But what about the
From what
10, 20 other ones that you don't even realize that
Right,
are
they just did
telling
it.
all of their friends like, hey, go check out Wooden Journey, like it has some cool info for you, or
Yeah.
sending it to their teacher and going, how many Starbucks are you bringing into class today? Did you know you could save 5 trays today instead?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
mind blowing.
and easier. I mean, it actually would take, if you really get down, it would actually take more effort for someone to drive to get a cup of coffee than to go onto my website to plant trees. And that was what I tried to set out. It's like, we already do the membership. You literally just set it and forget it. We'll take care of the rest. So it's just, if people start to realize that they have so much power to make these changes, like the world would be a completely different place.
From products to like planting trees to just taking the initiatives to do a quick search, like
Yeah.
spend an extra 2 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, just dive in. And I think that's a great point too. If people just took a half hour to search things that they were curious about a day, just whatever interests them, instead of, if you're into books, that's fine, but like just a topic, like just search a topic and just dive in, look at different articles that are, obviously real, that aren't just spam, like get your information from the right places. Obviously that's crucial, but just explore and look a little bit. I mean, the internet is such an incredible tool that, if you're concerned about certain things, it's like, oh, like, how can I do this? The answer is usually right in front of you, from your house because of this. So, I encourage anyone to be able to, go home and do that. And, just touching on that community aspect, I really feel, if anyone's also trying to, in an entrepreneurial route, is trying to get their own foot on the ground, whatever project they have, they're trying to start an online craft store, they're starting to sell any kind of product online, starting to do anything they want digitally. If my main advice would be, if you're just your genuine self, things will fall into place, because that's the power of social media. There's so many tools out there, and the right people will find you. Just keep putting your stuff out there, be yourself, and just have genuine interests at heart, and just kind of let the rest kind of fall where they need to be.
And it will. Like, I've been in the marketing world for years, and it definitely does fall into place. Like, be authentic, be you.
Yeah.
Like,
Salesy,
yeah,
it
people
doesn't
can
work.
see through right
No,
if
people
you're not.
don't care.
Are you like, are you trying to be this
Yeah.
person?
And who wants to be like that these days? It just doesn't work. I think it's just so funny seeing all these people. It's like, oh, buy this. Like, but why? Like, it's just so self-interest. It's just like, be yourself, be authentic, and that's part of the beautiful part. If you're just yourself and you put out that stuff, then you get to connect with people. Like, I get to connect with you. We're having an incredible conversation right now. Just be yourself, and go meet amazing people. So it's great.
For sure. And, like when you hit on people see you as your real self, like they truly do connect with you. A lot of people think, you
Yeah.
got to have this special filter and have this effect and be all
No.
perfect and look
Right.
amazing.
The flashiness.
Right. I mean, my Instagram story is the first thing in the morning is like, I woke up like this, but I'm having coffee. Good morning, guys. Or like,
Right.
I made it to the gym and I'm not like, I don't have makeup on going to the
Right.
gym.
You don't need
Like,
it.
you're exactly, you don't need it.
No.
And I probably have mismatched clothes on, but I don't care. They're going to get all
Right.
dirty afterwards.
Right. People, and that's the thing. It's so funny seeing some people just try to fool the overall society or community. It's like, it's just a facade. People see it, like, you're not fooling anybody. And it's just so much effort to put on that facade. Why would you want to put on, anything but yourself in the first place?
You're beautiful exactly how you
Yes.
are.
Yes.
For anybody who's listening to this, you don't have to be somebody else. Just be you.
No, just rock yourself. You have amazing traits, and you're the best example of yourself that could be out there. So don't cover it up, please.
Yeah, we don't want to see that. Please don't put that on my For You page today.
Right, yes, because people will keep scrolling, including myself.
Oh, that's so funny. So have you traveled to different rainforests throughout your life, or have you just been super interested in it and doing this from afar?
So right now, the super interest, my goal is when things start to open up, I want to just go as far as I can. I have a couple really good friends over in like Australia, Indonesia area where one of our tree planting locations are. And his name's Lorenz, actually. Shout out to you, dude. He actually is kind of like commuting from Australia to Indonesia when things start to open up, and we're trying to get like a like a little like shed hut place where we can just kind of like sleep, lodge, and start to make, you know, different impacts there. So that's definitely one place on my to-do list. It's actually really cool because the place that we're planting with them is actually located right next to an orangutan habitat.
Ooh, super
So
cool.
yeah, so one thing we're trying to do is actually plant the durian fruit tree, which is a food source for them. So by planting these trees in the area that we're in, we're going to be able to kind of expand their habitat. So the goal is hopefully if we can get a couple cameras over there, maybe some, you know, like wildlife cameras, you know, people can kind of stop by my website and try to see an orangutan in action. That would be really, really cool. You know, definitely one of the things we're trying to aim towards, but I would say that's definitely one place on the list. New Zealand is probably up there. I have a really good friend over there who worked for the like Auckland area, and it would be really cool to go over there and see that habitat. And then definitely one of my top to dos would be to go over to the Amazon. That's probably been my favorite admiration spot at the moment. So I would love to dive into there. One person I got connected with, she is the founder of the Amazon River Conservation Foundation. It's a mouthful, and her name's Susan, and she actually manages the river dolphins over there. It's a endangered species, and she's doing a lot of great conservation work over there in their habitat. So I would love to kind of just join her on a trip and see some of her work as well.
Oh, that is so cool. You know, when you're doing amazing things and you're beside other people doing amazing things, like
Nothing better.
that collaboration, that creativity is so vital and so needed.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's going to impact so many more people than what you even think of right now. Cause like one video, one clip is going to impact so many people.
Yeah, and that's the goal. It's just I know a lot of people want to kind of start their own endeavors, but there's nothing like being a part of the overall community. You know, just learning with other professionals, you know, just being able to get experience from them. You know, no one can do this kind of thing on their own, you know? So, I mean, life's hard enough as it is. So,
Right.
you know, not having a network beside you is definitely difficult. But when you know, in terms of something like climate change, where it's just so easy to get so depressed and so upset about the issues because you really just start to kind of snowball when you learn about the different things that are going on. It gets very overwhelming, and I'll never forget it. That's why I started Wooden Journey. I was just sitting on my couch one day, you know, learning about all the things, doing exactly what you said. I was just doing some searching online, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many issues. Like, how is this not talked about on a massive scale right now? You know, it's unbelievable. And I just I felt so isolated and alone because I knew that people cared, but they didn't know how to do anything. And I'm like, I can't, I just couldn't allow myself to sit back. I'm like, I wanted to make an avenue where people who felt the exact same way that I did would be able to be, you know, join us and say, no, hey, I'm part of this community. It's not just me, it's all of us. And that's where the power is. And that's when things really start to change.
I absolutely love that. Like you're preaching to the choir on, you know, building a community and support and collaboration. And like I've said before, like you are empowering so many people
Thank you, Bobbi.
just from, you know, like literally, like you had this idea, you saw the need for it. There was a huge disconnect. You know, there
Yeah,
wasn't anybody out there going, okay, this is the best organization to go with. You know, this
100%.
is the best way. This is how we help the community. There's so many different layers to it.
Yeah, so
And
much info.
you filled in that gap and are like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll do all the research. Here you go, guys. Like, here it is. I figured it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And
Copy and
now,
paste, make it easy.
exactly. Now, here's how we can help. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like you said, you've already conserved over 6 million square feet of rainforest, which is, it's mind blowing in the span of what, 2 years, right?
Yeah. I didn't really start until I want to say I really started trying to amp up things around fall of 2019. So I'm pretty much a
A
year
year
and a
and a
half
half.
in. Yeah, just around there. Yeah, it's crazy. And it's just like I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. This is just my calling in life, and there's no way around it. There's some days when like there's just some days when I go on and make the impact from our community and, get all these things done. And like, I just get to chill and I like start to tear up sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, like this is like happening, and I'm just so thankful for that, like, some people get enjoyment when they, hang out with friends. Some people get enjoyment when they read a book. I genuinely get that enjoyment when I go online and make that impact. So being able to give that back to other people is just even more rewarding. And I'm on a mission to keep going. So my goal overall is to I want to conserve 1 million acres of rainforest, like conserve it through the Rainforest Trust. That's exactly what my mission is. I think that would go a long way. The tree number, we're trying to make some different tailors to there, but there's a lot of cool technology out there that I would like to kind of take advantage of, where there's these things called tree planting seedling drones, where you can actually fill up a drone with seeds coated in the correct coating so they, animals don't eat them, water doesn't erode their, coating, whatever. And you can disperse them, obviously a lot behind this, but you can basically fly this drone over certain plots of land and disperse native seeds and kind of like in their own perfect encapsule. So they have all the nutrients that they have, and you can plant millions of seedlings a day through this kind of technology. So we have big ideas and we got big things coming. It's just, we're still early on, and, we just want to make the world a greener place and, do what I can.
It is going to get there. Like,
thank you.
Keep up the high goals, keep it up. And without a doubt, I know you're going to get there. And you hit on such a great point. Like, when you know that you're in your calling and you're following your intuition, there is so much fulfillment that comes from it.
Oh my God. Yeah,
like,
no words.
It's there.
I just got to chill. Just you saying it. Like,
right.
Honestly.
It's completely there. I had that moment, I think like last week or the week before. And I was sitting down, and I love to journal. Like in the morning, I try to make it a daily practice. And I was like, you know what? I had dreams years ago, like on the road, meeting people at coffee shops around the world. And I was like, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool to this could be a job of just talking with people and learning their story over coffee. And I was just like, put it off to the side, still doing marketing work, still sharing inspirational content on Instagram at the time. And it was like, it just kept happening. Like, meet people, they impact my life, I impact theirs. And then like the circle keeps going. And then this year it finally hit home. I was like, I don't have the coffee shop anymore. I'm creating it. And then it hit me.
This is it.
Like, this is it. Like, this is my coffee shop right now.
Yes.
Via Zoom, having coffee with you, Nick.
Yes.
Learning your story. And I was just like, it's here. Like, this is what I had dreamt about, and just pushed it off the side, and it's back in full force. And it's like, you can't stop this. This is what you're meant to do.
I am so like, I guess the words is like in all of that, because it's so hard to make that jump. Like, and I'm proud of you for doing that. I just reward you on everything that you've accomplished, because you tailored it. I mean, like you said, the world with the coffee shop it's not right here, but guess what? I'm not going to let that stop me, because I have access to all these other resources. Why not just dive into this now? Everyone's cooped up in home. Like, I'm stuck on Zoom. Everyone's stuck on Zoom in this world. So why not just do it digitally for now? Maybe in a couple months you can start to get into the coffee shops again, but that didn't stop your path, did it? You kept going, and that's very awing. I'm very humbled by that. That's amazing. Great job to you.
Well, thank you. Some days it was a little forced of like how I got here, but not connecting with the people, but just like marketing world crashed. So it was like, why not try something?
Why not now?
Why not now? Like, here it is. Here's the blessing. You've got time. Go for it.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful part about just the internet as a whole. Like, there's so many tools out there that you can really just kind of learn and do your own thing. And exactly, whoever's listening, like Bobbi said, just dive in and be yourself. Like, whatever you want to do, just start putting stuff out there, because you're going to meet people that help you along the way. Like, if you're doing a really cool thing, people are going to want to get on board and support you, and why wouldn't you want to meet cool people like that? You're literally creating your own little community, but also joining the overall one that you wanted to be a part of. Like, why not go for it? You have a lot of people have all this free time at home right now. You're not doing X, Y, and Z. Take some time to work on that dream. I mean, it's just so possible. And if I can just give any, inspiration in that way, I'm just a normal guy in a one-bedroom apartment right now. I really am, but I'm also not going to let, everything that was happening stop me from pursuing what I wanted and building what I want. I'm like you said, everything's here, and you're the only one you're really getting in the way of yourself with everything out there. So just take advantage of it, and just work really, really hard, and just kind of let the rest fall into place.
Preach. Like, put the words out of my mouth, Nick. You can create content for me today.
Sounds good. Let's work something out. I would love to. This has been fantastic so far. So whatever we can do, I'm all for it.
Yes, it is so true. Like, you are the person that's in the way of it. Like, if you take out that mental block, like, you can achieve so much.
Done. And you know what it is? I think there's so much around like the culture of people's opinions coming around you. One of my main messages that I could say is literally just listen to yourself. You are the one that's going to make yourself happy. There's always going to be someone that's going to think your idea is dumb, that it's lame, that you're a nerd, that it's just not what you should be doing. You're wasting your time. Who are they to tell you what your dreams and aspirations are? You could say the same thing to them. It's just, you need to listen to yourself, because most of the time those voices get so outweighed by the amount of people that think what you're doing is absolutely incredible. There's always going to be people that are going to deny and think what you're doing isn't the right thing to do. And you just, whether it's friends or a stranger, it doesn't matter who it is. You just need to really dial into yourself and say, this is what I need to do. And like, this is what my goals are. And I'm not going to let anyone stop that. And honestly, the real friends and the real people out there are going to support you. And you just have to realize that, And I think one really cool thing is, if there's a friend that doesn't support you, like let's say you're putting something out there and they think it's dumb, do you really want to be friends with someone like that? Is that for you? Because at that point, you're just hiding your true self. Going on to that whole facade, you're hiding yourself because you're just putting up a wall to impress someone. Why do you want to impress someone that doesn't care about who you really are? So I guess if I could give any advice, exactly what Bobbi said, put yourself out there, and just start doing what you're meant to do. And it's that simple. I'm rooting for you. Bobbi's rooting for you. Just do your thing. Don't let those people get in your way. Don't let fake friends get in your way. And, things will fall into place for you for sure. Just put yourself out there, and you'll get a really cool group of people that will support you, and you'll really realize who has your back and who doesn't. So
100% on this. Like, you hit the nail on the head, Nick. And just to add on, if you're finding yourself with these friends who are judging you, which 99% of the time that judgment's just in your minds that you're thinking, but sometimes there are people in your circle that will say like, this idea is like so crazy, so far out there, I don't think it's right for you. They're probably unhappy with their own life and have inner jealousy because they actually
100%.
didn't do what they wanted to do in life. So once you realize that, then you just have to take that step back and go, okay, I see that. Like, that's why they're coming at me. I'm still staying in my lane, shining my light, doing my thing.
100%. That is so true. Oh my God. I could not have said that better myself. It's just, if you're doing a really cool thing, it's just straight jealousy. That's what it is. And as hard as it is, really dive into yourself and really just understand that and find it in yourself. If that is someone that's really dear to you, and say, listen, I'm sorry that you think that this is dumb, but if there's something that you're looking to do, if I can be a resource for you, let me know. Just come from a place of understanding, more of just getting mad at them. That goes a really, really long way. And I think they would make a complete 180, being completely honest. If you had a friend that was, putting judgment on you, and you went out to them and said like, listen, I'm learning a lot, and I think there's a lot of cool things that I could help. If there's something that you wanted to do, whatever it is, just let me know. Most of it would just get watched out. And if not, then they're probably just not a good person and you don't want to be with them anyway. Yep. So you really have the double-ended win-win sword, no matter which way you look at it, when that's where you take it from. So just remember that. And like I said, it's just, like Bobbi said, it's just, sometimes people are going to be jealous on what you're doing, and just offer yourself as a resource instead. And usually that gets completely nullified right away.
You are absolutely correct on that, Nick. Nick, as we begin to wrap up here, I could talk to you for hours, like
God, same.
similar
Yes,
thoughts that we could have
this will
coffee
be
every
great.
week.
Why
uh,
don't we? Maybe we will.
exactly. Here we go.
Episode 2.
This is a new series of Coffee with Bobbi and Nick. Uh,
Here for it.
awesome. It's happening. What's been one of the biggest blessings for you over this past year?
Oh my God. I would say first and foremost, my family and my self-health, just because of everything that's been going on. Really just looking at it, that is such an important thing that a lot of people really, I think, sometimes take for granted. There's so many people struggling with different things, and whether it's not health, just my overall situation. I didn't lose a job, just for where I am in a place where the world has really just crashed down upon us. I'm very thankful for the impact that I've had personally, not being as bad as others. I'm very appreciated to that. The other thing, just relating it for Wood and Journey, the biggest thing that I am thankful for is every single person who has commented, liked, said thank you, or just appreciated in general what I've been trying to build, or who has really joined our community. I genuinely and truly don't have the words to thank every single one of those people who have done the littlest thing of engagement on anything that I've put out there, or any dollar that they've planted with me, anything. Every single piece of help has been absolutely tremendous and gotten me to where I am. And I will always be humbled and thank you by that. And I just want those people to know that are listening that I'm not going to stop. And that just pushes me even more so. This train isn't going anywhere. And that just pushes me on to make the world even greener, the most that I can. And so much for supporting me.
I love it. Nick, where can we find more information about you? Where can people connect with Wood and Journey, social media, website, etc.?
So the easiest place would just be to go on to www.woodandjourney.com. I have all my social media linked right on there. So any channels that you're on, I'm pretty much on there too. So you can definitely find me on any of those channels through woodandjourney.com. I have different subscription tiers if someone wants to plant trees and conserve with me, right on woodandjourney.com as well. And I also have our own like explore and feed page. So if you want to be, just a member of our community, meet people, you can start to post, just meet others who are on our mission with us. We would love to have you on board. Our community is incredible. I would go on a limb and say we have the best community ever, but I think I'm a little biased, so that's okay. But I would love to have you guys on board and join our tree fam. So woodandjourney.com is the place to be.
Wherever you are listening to this, watching this episode at, you can find all of the links below in the show notes and the captions to connect with Nick and Wood and Journey. Nick, this has been such a pleasure having coffee with you and learning so much about your passion for wildlife and reforestation and just life in general.
I cannot thank you enough for having me on here, and it's been an absolute pleasure of mine. Just likewise, Bobbi, you're an absolute inspiration. This has been a blast, and I really can't wait till we do this again. Here's to hopefully a long-lasting podcast series that we can maybe get going. Thank you so much for everything.
Yes, I love it. To everybody who is watching and listening to this episode today, I'm going to leave you with this. Take 5 minutes out of your day today and just do that extra search, whether it's on a product, whether it's on something that you want to learn about, a new hobby, a new interest. Like, take that initiative. We've got the time. Just search. Google's right in front of you.
Yeah, your voice matters.
Exactly. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Coffee with Bobbi and Nick. Have a great day.